It all began on one of those perfect spring mornings, the kind where the light is soft but golden, spilling through the windows like a quiet promise. You know the kind. Birds chirping, breeze gently rustling the curtains, and everything outside just glows. It was like the world had hit the refresh button overnight. And when you get a morning like that, you don't waste it by staying in. I remember glancing out the window, coffee in hand, and immediately texting Cousin Ruby, "Let's go see the blossoms." Within minutes, Connie and Cousin Ruby were looped in, and just like that, our spontaneous springtime mission was on. There's a kind of thrill in doing something last minute like that. No overthinking, no planning, just pure, simple joy in chasing something beautiful. And cherry blossoms? They're the perfect excuse. The four of us piled into the car like kids off on a field trip, and so we drove. Connie had snacks, and Ruby had already started snapping selfies before we even left the driveway. The car was filled with that contagious kind of energy, laughing, reminiscing, teasing each other between bursts of Tagalog and English. It felt warm and familiar, like home in motion. We were heading to High Park in Toronto, the place for cherry blossoms in the city. And even though we didn't know if we were catching them at their peak, it didn't matter. We weren't chasing perfection. We were chasing a moment, and deep down, we knew we'd already found it. When we finally arrived, the sight before us was like stepping into a pastel wonderland. The cherry blossoms were in full diva mode, fluffy, radiant, and gently dancing in the breeze. It felt like the entire park had put on a costume of white and pink just for us. And of course, I couldn't help myself. I twirled beneath the trees, struck a few dramatic poses, and did my best slow-motion catch-the-pedal walk like I was the star of my own K-drama. If you know, you know. Everywhere we turned, people were smiling, taking photos, couples holding hands, kids chasing falling petals like they were catching stars. It was one of those rare scenes where strangers become part of your joy, and you become part of theirs. For a few precious moments, it felt like the whole world was unified in awe. As we wound through blossom-lined paths, we saw the park in a whole new way. There were quiet ponds shimmering in the sunlight, stone bridges straight out of a fairy tale, and groves of trees that seemed to glow from within. We waved at fellow parkgoers like royalty. And maybe we weren't actual queens and kings, but at that moment, we felt like it. I remember sitting there, watching a petal land in Connie's hair as Ruby tried to gently brush it away and thinking, this is it. This is the kind of memory you tuck into your heart and never let go of. A spring afternoon, homemade food, family, laughter echoing under trees that only bloom once a year. Time seemed to slow. The park grew quieter, the breeze is softer. For a few moments, we weren't worried about schedules or errands, or the endless to-do lists waiting back home. We were just here, breathing in the scent of blossoms, tasting sugar and coconut, feeling the earth beneath us and the sky above. But as beautiful as it all was, our feet had other opinions. High Park, if you've never been, is big. And I don't mean walk around the block big. I mean sprawling hills, winding trails, open fields, deep woods, and cherry blossoms as far as the eye can see. It's the kind of place where you could spend an entire day and still not see it all. And none of us were exactly dressed for a hike. We had cute spring outfits, comfy but not hiking shoes, and bags full of snacks, not gear for a full-on trek. So there we were, standing under the blush-colored canopy of trees, trying to decide whether we should push forward or turn back. That's when our miracle showed up, rolling in like it knew we needed saving. The tram. It was small, open air, and rumbling softly along the paved path like a cheerful little parade float. And I'm telling you, we lit up like kids seeing an ice cream truck. It felt like the park gods had heard our internal debate and sent the tram just for us. We waved it down and climbed aboard with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for roller coasters and surprise parties. And just like that, our cherry blossom adventure leveled up. The moment the tram buzzed to life, it felt like we were gliding through a living postcard. Wind in our hair, the scent of fresh blossoms and earth filling the air, and the sun filtering through the delicate petals above us. Everywhere we looked, the trees were in full diva mode. Branches heavy with blooms, like they knew this was their big moment and they were ready to be admired. As the tram moved along, we passed entire groves of Sakura trees, some low and sweeping, others tall and towering. Pink and white petals danced on the breeze, some landing on our shoulders, in our laps, even in our hair. We laughed and pointed and took photo after photo, but in between the snaps, we also just sat and soaked it in. The beauty was so overwhelming that it silenced even the most talkative of us for a while. But High Park isn't just cherry blossoms. As we rode along, the tram gave us front row seats to all the different sides of the park. To our left, we passed the children's playground, bright, colorful, and full of giggles. Kids were climbing, swinging, and running like little balls of joy, totally oblivious to anything except the next slide or sandbox castle. It reminded me of how many Torontonians grow up with High Park as their backyard. It's not just a place to visit, it's part of the city's heart. Then came the sports fields, huge, open stretches of green where people were tossing frisbees, playing soccer, or simply lying on blankets with books and cold drinks. Some joggers waved as we passed by, and dogs bounded happily after tennis balls. There was this wonderful sense of community, of everyone just enjoying life in their own way. One of my favorite moments was when the tram slowed as we approached one of the park's serene ponds. The water glimmered under the afternoon sun, ducks glided along its surface, and a stone bridge arched gracefully over one end, like something out of a fairy tale. If we had been walking, we might have missed it. But from the tram, we had the luxury of pausing and admiring without aching feet distracting us. The best part? The tram lets you sit back and really notice things, like how the smell of cherry blossoms mingles with fresh-cut grass and the occasional whiff of pine, or how the sunlight catches in the petals, making them look almost translucent, or how even strangers riding the tram with us were smiling, relaxed, present. We were all wrapped in the same shared joy. Somewhere along the ride, we started pointing out the perfect picnic spots. Oh, look at that hill. It has shade and a view. That bench under the tree would be perfect for a photo. We should totally come back with a big blanket and just stay all afternoon. And that's the thing about riding the tram. It gave us space to dream and plan. We weren't rushing. We weren't tired. We were cruising through springtime bliss. As we looped back toward the starting point, none of us really wanted it to end. That tram ride wasn't just about saving our feet. It was a chance to see the park through fresh eyes. To really take it all in, the blossoms, the laughter, the life. We stepped off the tram with a new burst of energy, ready for more exploring, more photos, maybe even a little picnic if we found the right spot. Then came one of my favorite parts of the day. The tram gently slowed, almost as if it too didn't want to rush past what was in front of us. We'd arrived at a grove that can only be described as otherworldly, trees so thick with blossoms that the branches looked like clouds. Every inch was covered in that perfect blend of blush pink and soft white, the kind of bloom that only happens once a year and disappears far too soon. The petals were drifting down in slow motion, like snowflakes caught in a warm spring breeze. It was peaceful, mesmerizing. Time seemed to stretch and soften. The air itself felt different, scented with the sweet perfume of the sakura, clean and delicate like fresh linen with a hint of sugar. You could feel it in your chest. The way beauty can actually make you pause, take a breath, and just... Around us, the world felt hushed. Even the other tram riders went quiet, heads tilted up, eyes wide. It was as if we had entered a secret garden, a place just for us, suspended between seasons and time. The light filtering through the blossoms gave everything a soft, golden glow. Faces looked warmer, smiles brighter, and every camera came out like we all knew we had to capture this before it slipped away. And yet, no photo could really do it justice, because it wasn't just about how it looked, it was about how it felt. Like joy, like peace, like something gently whispering, "You're lucky to be here." In that moment, under that canopy of pink, we weren't just spectators, we were part of the magic. Eventually, as the tram rolled through the final stretch of High Park, I found myself turning back, watching the blossoms fade into the distance. The trees, still swaying gently in the breeze, looked like they were waving goodbye. I knew in my heart that we might not see them again this season, maybe not even next year. That's the thing about cherry blossoms. They don't wait for anyone. They show up in their own time, put on the most beautiful performance, and then quietly slip away. But the magic of that day? That was ours to keep. By the time we pulled back into the parking lot, our cheeks actually hurt from all the smiling. It wasn't just the photos or the scenery, it was the joy that had bubbled up naturally, effortlessly. Cherry blossom season is so brief, just a week or two if the weather's kind. And yet, that's what makes it unforgettable. It teaches us something important in its softness and its swiftness. That the most beautiful things in life don't last forever. They're not meant to. They come to remind us to slow down, to notice, to be here. Not someday, not next week, now. We didn't need an elaborate plan or a perfect itinerary. We just needed each other. A few text messages, a warm car ride, a couple of homemade snacks, and the willingness to follow a whim. That's what turned an ordinary day into something extraordinary. So no, this wasn't just a trip to see some trees. It was sunshine caught in our hair. It was family wrapped in laughter. It was shared sandwiches and quiet moments beneath a rain of pink petals. It was nostalgia woven into the now. It was us, writing a page in our family story, soft and fleeting, but real. And long after the petals have fallen, that memory will stay in bloom. Always. And just like that, the blossoms faded behind us, but the memory stayed bright, like sunlight filtered through petals. If this story made you smile, or reminded you of your own fleeting, beautiful moments, don't let it end here. Subscribe for more feel-good adventures, like if you've ever chased something magical, and drop a comment below. What's your favorite spring memory? Until next time, keep chasing beauty, keep creating stories, and don't forget to look up. The blossoms don't last, but the memories, they're forever.